I know we must learn to stand together, learn to live together, learn it's not forever. I know. Let's see.
Right. It is the middle, politics and profanity. It is our Halloween Spooktacular. Is everybody ready for Halloween this week? To my left, as with me as always, the Dr. Jekyll to my Mr. Hyde, it is Justin.
Oh, yeah.
What's going on, my man? Now, on the other side of the glass, pulling the levers like the great, all-powerful, all-knowing, mighty Wizard of Oz. It's Ryan.
Pay no attention to the man behind the glass.
Don't pay any attention. That's what sometimes we don't know until he's in our ears. We don't even know he's there. It is Halloween week. We got lots of things going on.
I forgot. I really did.
Did you really?
Oops.
Come on, man.
I know, and I talked about it last week. I guess last week was really when I cared.
The timing was off.
Yeah, I just
gotcha.
you know.
Because right now, like,
I was going to watch a bunch of scary movies and review them. That did not happen.
I did. So last night, I checked out The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix.
Nice. Actually, I've been watching that.
Oh, okay.
Spectacular.
I got, I think 3 episodes
Me
in.
too.
I was like, I gotta go to bed. I gotta go to bed. I gotta get up tomorrow. I got a whole thing. I got a Spooktacular to plan for. What am I doing watching this crap? But it was so good. It was so good. If you haven't seen it yet, Haunting of Hill House on
High
Netflix.
production, very well done.
High production, great. I mean, Henry Thomas. Haven't seen Henry Thomas in something in a long time. You know, remember the E.T. kid, for those of you kids from the 80s.
We've got a recording of you listening or watching to it.
Oh, do we? Let's hear
Yeah.
it. That's me. Like a bitch. Like the way Trump moves on people like a bitch, I scream like a bitch when I'm scared. Ah! So we got all kinds of scary shit going on this last week, just in time for Halloween.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
starting on Monday.
I didn't even frame it that way.
It was a very full, hate-filled, scary
terror week. For real.
Yeah, it truly was. So starting on Monday, George Soros, the billionaire philanthropist, got a bomb.
The Lex
to his
Luthor
house.
to
Yeah, right. You know what I mean?
Dracula.
Oh, what's going on? George Soros got a bomb sent to his house. And like, you know, you would think like this guy is a multi-billionaire. And so turns out like his groundskeeper like took it out of the mail like he normally does. He went and picked up the guy's mail and said, "Hey, you know what? This looks suspicious," and like tossed it in the woods by the house and then called the cops. And it's like, well, this is fucked up. Why the fuck, man? I mean, I know that on the right they vilify this guy like he's the one. Well, this is the thing.
I am having a real hard time with the Gardner thing. I really did not. I know, like Hillary, you know, she's got a team of people going.
Secret Service. She's a former first lady.
I when you just said that though, I was like, wait, there's no like they got close. Like,
yes,
you could get close
and that was my point.
I was like, wait, so I could look up George Soros' address and send him a postcard from Port St. Lucie.
Yep.
And, like, it might get to him.
It will
That's
get to him.
fucking crazy. Dude, he needs to work on that.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say.
Well, I mean, he probably wasn't there because I think according to Fox News, he was down in Honduras funding more caravan members. So they didn't have to worry about actually getting him blown up because he's busy doing other nefarious things, apparently.
So it's only one of his like 20,000 houses.
Well, that's true too. You know, and
Yeah.
a couple of yachts he probably has and blah, blah, blah. And he's probably up in the G8, you know, flying in his private jet.
Secret underwater base.
Yeah. He's got
the recreation of Atlantis.
Yeah, he's got the Nautilus. He's 20,000 leagues under the sea. So that was how the week began. All right. And then the week ended yesterday with a nutball running into a fucking synagogue in Pittsburgh and killing 11 Jews during a bris, a naming ceremony for a child at a synagogue on Saturday Sabbath service, yelling that all Jews must die.
Did you see his tweet?
Yeah.
With the HIAS reference?
The HIAS. Yeah, he had something. I think that was on his profile
so I
page
heard
as
this
well.
story, and I was immediately like, wait, what? Why? It seems like a really niche action of violence. We haven't seen a whole lot of anti-Semitism, like violence like that in a while. You see it across seas. It's definitely a thing, but you don't see it here.
Right.
So I thought it was, and I wanted to figure it out. You look on Google News, there's nothing past 17, 20 hours. So and then you look up news about this HIAS that he was rallying against. It's very low. It's just a Jewish, it was created after the war to help resettle immigrants, for the Jewish immigrants from the Holocaust.
Right.
Great. And then it eventually evolved into just resettling immigrants from that general area that are displaced.
Right.
Like whatever you are.
But this became the Jews will not replace us.
No, so this guy thinks
conspiracy.
that this is an organization that's bringing in terrorists. It's like, okay, so now he's so fired up about this thing that doesn't exist that he goes and does something completely nuts. Like, that is a whole different level of disassociation with society. Like, you got to go, it was difficult to find information about this stuff. He has to be some forum somewhere, must have been some dude.
Gab.
For real.
That's
though,
their Facebook that they use.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
that's the white nationalists, man.
It's not.
So they went on his profile, and he had all these things that he was talking about, and literally before he went and killed these people, he posted, fuck your optics, I'm going in.
Right, I saw
that. And then he went and he shot this place up.
Such madness.
The real madness is that the people who are like-minded encourage this guy, including people in the American government, most notably our own president.
Okay.
Because every time this guy gets up and talks about the caravan and talks about how these people are coming to cross our borders and invade our country, and there's Middle Easterners in there, and they're being paid for by George Soros. Oh, the Jew billionaire? Is that who you're talking about? Oh, I get it. Wink, wink.
Right.
So all these guys take the wink winks and they just stack up like empty, dirty dishes in their mind.
I didn't even know Soros was a Jew.
Right. So he's Hungarian. Yeah, he's a Hungarian Jew. So they all these stack up in their mind like dirty dishes until finally a pile knocks over and they wind up taking their Glocks fully loaded to a synagogue service on Saturday. And now I'm sure this entire week, now that's the beginning of the week and the end of the week. In between, and people don't even realize that
You're
they
saying
forget.
that the set and setting that the president's putting up here is giving this a climate to where these people can just work themselves into a fury.
The last 3 rallies he did was during this violence, and he keeps on saying he is a nationalist.
Yeah.
Now he's saying it unapologetically. What does that mean?
Yeah.
What other president has ever called himself a nationalist? There's a reason they don't call themselves a nationalist. They call themselves patriots.
Right.
There's a difference. And the difference in this case is the difference between a responsible political leader who says, I stand for America, than a political leader who's a demagogue who says, I stand with you.
Right.
As long as you're just like me.
Yeah.
Because he's white, fair-haired, German descent.
A little far.
German descent.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So I've got 2 questions.
Yes.
Didn't the word patriot kind of get a dirty name after was it Timothy McVeigh, the Oklahoma bomber?
A little bit, but let's be honest. It came back in vogue once everybody started flying the little mini flags in the bottom right hand of the screen after 9/11.
That's a good point, though. Domestic terrorism is now back. It was a
domestic terror. Here's the thing. There's a and I wish I had the stat in front of me, but Department of Homeland Security has grant blocks that they give out for to fund different areas of the country to harden targets, for money to fight terrorism. The money that they have has always been allotted to different areas, not just Islamic terrorists. Part of it went to internal national terrorist groups.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, mid-90s, it had nothing to do with the Middle East. Most of the terrorism in the country was domestic.
Right.
From JFK to Oklahoma.
The very
whole
first
thing.
one that was anything outside of here was the original World Trade Center bombing in the parking garage underneath the World Trade Center.
Right.
That was the Sheikh Mohammed, the blind Santa Claus looking guy.
That was, and just so happened to be right around the time Bin Laden's gaining favor in the Muslim world and the time that we happened to go overseas for oil wars.
Well, yeah, he was gaining power in the Muslim world in our allies, Saudi Arabia.
Right.
Because he's Saudi Arabian.
Saudi Arabia.
Because he's Saudi Arabian.
Right.
And so are all the people that flew the fucking planes into the buildings. They're all Saudi Arabians.
The mess there is just shit.
So, lest we forget that horror show.
Right.
Which
you
was
mean the apocalypse on Earth right now? That is Yemen.
Well, that too.
Yeah.
I mean, you see some of the people there that are just starving to death from the embargo of everything. They blockaded, these port cities there. And let's be honest, it's a desert on a fucking Gulf of on the Persian Gulf. The only way to get things in and out is through goddamn shipping. So if you're blockading my ports, I'm fucked.
Right.
Right. I'm not growing shit in the desert. So... But just 3 weeks ago, the horror show of a reporter going to get paperwork so he can get married wound up getting interrogated, tortured, had his fingers cut off while he was being interrogated. Then they beheaded him and chopped him up into pieces, and they still won't tell us where his fucking body is. Right, that's scary. That's fucking spooky stuff, man. Getting your fingers chopped off, getting beheaded, getting dismembered. All the fucking guy wanted to do was get married.
Embassy.
Getting married is a horrific show, a horror show all in itself. Yeah. But no one deserves to get beheaded at first. You only get beheaded, later on. For those of you who are married, you understand what I'm talking about. If you're not married, then go fuck yourself.
So my other question is, why is it that the right is so pro-Israel, which is they're pro the Jews in Israel? But the ones in America, it's fuck them.
Do you want me to give you just the blanket reason why? It's pretty easy.
I don't understand what.
I'll give you the.
Roseanne talks about the Jews all the time.
Here's the blanket reason why.
What's going on with this?
Where's Jesus coming back?
I don't know. What is he supposed to come back?
Yeah.
Oh, was there a trailer?
You never watched.
I know
read
he gave
books?
himself up so that everyone can go free in heaven, no matter what you did.
No, man, he's coming back. Armageddon.
Oh.
When it's all over.
Why would you come back to this shit
You gotta
show, dude?
read your book of Revelations. The book of Revelations. Jesus is coming back. He's coming back to Armageddon, which is actually the fields of Megiddo. Fields of Megiddo are outside Jerusalem in Israel.
Okay, so is this a really important thing?
Yeah, it's a really important thing.
Legit,
they've written massive books and movies about this.
No, I understand all that.
Okay.
I get that, but I'm saying
the rapture.
Yeah. In the modern times, though, people are taking this super seriously and making policy decisions based off
Do you
of
read?
that.
Do you see any of the statements from religious leaders regarding Donald Trump and all this stuff?
No, not really.
Oh, like they're just over the edge. Like anybody who criticizes him is criticizing the Lord.
Oh, wow, clever. Shit.
How can you argue with that? Which is
Yeah.
why I always say people who believe in God, you're fucking retarded. It's a mental illness. There is no old man in the sky judging what you do. Stop it.
Yeah, there's one in your head. It's called morals.
Right, exactly that. Just follow what you think is the right thing to do. Not like if you're one of these guys who, mails bombs to people.
Take a look around. Most people are doing the right thing.
Right.
Get the data.
Right. Don't sit there and judge other people when the whole thing is that judge not lest you be judged. I mean, if you're going to live by the book, follow the fucking book. But don't make up the rules as you go. But that's the blanket reason. The blanket reason that American Christians support the Jewish state from World War II and beyond is because that is our Holy Land. We've been trying to take that back since 1096. That's when the first crusade was called for.
I see.
Pope Gregory.
I got you.
So in all those times, we took back Jerusalem once, then we lost it back to Saladin, and then we never got it back again. Until World War II.
Now we got it again.
We got it back again. And we installed the Jews to hold it for us, for all the Christian world, for all of the Christian believers.
What's the
Holy Land was regained and given to
the main
Jews.
spot for the Muslims, though, is in Saudi Arabia, right? The stone?
That's the main spot for the pilgrimage,
Yeah.
going to Mecca.
But
yeah,
the
Kaaba.
city is the real deal.
The city of Jerusalem is the Holy Land for
Okay.
Christianity,
Yeah.
Judaism, and Islam.
Okay. But the black stone's in Saudi Arabia.
The Kaaba is
That's
the
very
black stone
unfortunate
that
that
they
all the
they
other
were from.
Muslims had to have to go to such a terrible place.
Yeah, you would think so, right? And that's not even like the good part of Saudi Arabia. That's like the Red Sea fucking
Right.
part of Saudi Arabia. It's like nothing but fucking goddamn desert there. But that's where the Prophet Muhammad was from. He was from that side.
Okay.
Do we have a PC name for Jews in America?
No.
Is it
Jews are
Old
Jews.
Testament Americans?
Ha ha ha! That'd be awesome. Remember that old time religion. Yeah, man.
But yeah, I mean, I don't see why. That's why I spread Jediism. It's the Force, man. You
It
do
is.
good things happen. You do bad things happen.
Yeah, man. To me, I take it, in the science realm of it's the universe. It's the great big universe out there, and everything is connected. Everything that you see, you touch, you feel it's all made of the same stuff. Like we're made of the same stuff as stars are made of. So I mean, it's all the same thing.
It's all
We're all the
vibrations
same thing, right?
at the end of the day.
Right, and so that's the thing. So, these people who differentiate, it's like trying to say like there are red dwarf stars that look at, like yellow stars, and they're like the fucking yellow stars trying to steal our jobs. You know what I mean? I mean, that's how ridiculous it is for these people to have this mentality that Jews are coming to replace them. Exactly. I'm sure that's probably, the scariest thing they can think of is Jews and Mexicans are coming to replace them. And I think to myself, if Jews and Mexicans are coming to replace you and that's your biggest fear, then maybe you should try harder.
Right.
Right. Maybe you shouldn't be worried about a guy who's going to come and work for $7.25 an hour and can't speak English taking your job, because you must have a shitty fucking job. You should try harder. Go back to night school and get a degree. But don't go, and here's what this other guy did. So in between the MAGA bomber starting his bombing runs on Monday and the Pittsburgh synagogue shooter, Robert Bowers, killing 11 people yesterday, there was a guy named Gregory Bush in Kentucky who walked into a Kroger grocery store and shot 2 black people at random. On the way out, a white guy flinched away from him and he said, "Don't worry about it, bro. I'm not going to kill any white people." Turns out, just moments before he went to Kroger, he was down the block trying to get into a black church having services. But the doors were locked, because churches have to now.
Oh, man, that...
So he couldn't get in. There's video surveillance of him banging on the door, but he couldn't get in. Good thing, because it would have been a lot worse. So then he went to Kroger, and good thing, that Kroger is Kroger and not like Stop and Shop or Save-A-Lot or something like that, where more minority people would shop. It was Kroger. So he went in there and he found 2 black people shopping. Well, 1 black person shopping and 1 black lady in the parking lot on the way out. And he killed them. Why? Well, when they go and they look at the social media, there's no reason to not know why anymore. People have social media. So you just go look at it and he rants and raves about black people. And so he finally had enough. And he went and he killed black people. Because, whatever could fill in the conspiracy theory, whatever the conspiracy theory is.
So we have, you asked me a couple episodes back about healthcare, since I'm inundated in it, like having Crohn's.
Yep.
But like all aspects, even like our mental health care is terrible, right?
Yeah, no
like this
shit.
dude should have been seeing a fucking therapist if he's that angry about somebody because of the color of their skin.
Yeah, people
Or
can't afford
even
that,
just, we can bring it down to like the simplest form. If you're angry about how other people act and you're not looking at the way that you react to that, you have a fucking mental illness.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So these guys don't have medical coverage, and they constantly root and vote for people who want to take away any possibility of them ever getting medical coverage because they're convinced that these guys are their, true leaders. And, these guys walk through life without having any kind of treatment, and so they seek reinforcement of whatever is wrong with them. And so they watch Fox News, and they watch Alex Jones, and they listen to these little dickheads like Ben Shapiro and these other fucking little twats that are on Facebook and Twitter, reinforcing the same fucking theories that turn these guys into zombies. Turn them into The Walking Dead. They just turn them into these guys that are sitting there constantly. You say something to them and they're just like, George Soros. You know what I mean? And that's their knee-jerk reaction to everything in life. Their whole life becomes a knee-jerk reaction. Somebody who's darker skinned than them looks at them and already, they're ready to reach for their 9mm. I mean, that's the craziness. So these guys don't get help. In fact, they get the opposite of help. They get reinforcement of the mental issues that they have. And then they snap. And, to give you an idea of how you can't look to government anymore for any kind of help or direction, the president's reaction yesterday to 11 Jews being shot in service at a synagogue was, they should have had armed guards. That's his answer. Blaming the victims for not having armed security at a fucking synagogue. Why should they? Why do they need to? Why are crazy people, they can't get health insurance, but they can get guns anytime they want it? And fuck anybody who tries to abridge that right. But if you try and say that, people not having to beg to be saved from death because of a disease that they have, well, fuck them. Try harder. Not, you can't abridge that right to, the first one, life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, right. So fuck their right to life. But don't you try and abridge my Second Amendment. I want guns because this is America. And when I see them crafty black people and these fucking Mexicans and these goddamn Jews, I need to make sure that I'm armed. Because we always see Jews and Mexicans armed walking around the fucking street. I looked at the pictures of the caravan this week. You know what I saw? I saw a couple of guys pushing babies in strollers. One of them had a fucking Hello Kitty backpack. And these are the George Soros, these are the liberal warriors that are coming to invade our country from Honduras. I mean, if they were being paid by George Soros, why would they even come here? They got money. Why wouldn't they just take that George Soros money and stay in fucking Honduras and live like a king? Why would they come to this shitty country so they could wash my dishes, cook fucking falafels at some shitty restaurant? Because let's be honest, that's what's waiting for them when they get here. That and maybe some asshole gunning them down in a fucking Kroger. It's crazy. But that was our president's response. Well, if they would have had armed guards, it wouldn't have been so bad. Here's what I said to the president. The guy who's standing at the door with a gun in a holster is the first target. He's the first casualty when I go to shoot up a synagogue. Oh, you got a gun too? Boop, you're gone. Now let me move on to the people without guns.
I don't think we have the infrastructure to support security at all the synagogues and churches.
At every house of worship?
Like, come on.
I'm sure he just meant that, it needed to be at black churches and synagogues and mosques. Not white Christian churches. They don't need armed security.
Well, they probably have a bunch of dudes with guns in there anyway.
What a stupid thing to say.
But hey, here's the thing.
It's true.
For like most of like religious history, weapons are not allowed in holy places like churches.
Right.
In fact, that's why. So the Vikings, when they used to when the Vikings raided England, they would wait until the town went to church and raid the place because no one had a fucking weapon.
Right.
Because they're all in church.
Yep.
Without weapons.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, these days, these guys fight for every single place that they can carry guns. Why can I? Here in the state of Florida, they changed the law so that an employer cannot prevent you from bringing a weapon on their property. If they tell you you can't bring it in the building, well, that's okay, but you can keep it in your car. Used to not be that way. If a private business wanted to say no firearms on my property, the law said, yeah, it's a private business. It's your private land. You can tell anybody what the fuck you want. No, not anymore. Because the NRA's got that much power that they changed the law. Used to be the castle law, where you would have to, the man's home is his castle, but you had an obligation to retreat from someone who was trying to perpetrate violence against you. It was only when, you couldn't retreat any further into your castle that you were justified in using deadly force. Now you just have to feel threatened. Anywhere. And you have no obligation to retreat. You have no obligation to give ground at all. The second you feel threatened, pull your weapon and start shooting. Stand your ground. That's the new law.
As far as employers saying no guns on my premises, if I'm going to shoot up a place, I'm not going to really be like, can't.
No, that's not the point. That's not the point. The point would be like, let's say a company like Walt Disney, who's a huge employer in the state of Florida here, and I happen to be wearing a little Disney shirt today. A company like that, they have a reputation. They have a family-friendly, company image. To allow their employees to come on to the property with an AR-15, on a rifle rack behind them in their truck, it goes against everything they are as an employer. And why should they be forced?
Why is there a law telling what employers to do? Right. Like, they should, if Disney doesn't want guns on the premises, guess what? No fucking guns.
Right. You would think, right? Because this entire country is based on property rights. Yeah. That's the history of America. We told King George, go fuck yourself. We own this land. We fought over it. We won. And now it's property rights. I mean, literally, the first people who got the vote in America were only people who owned property. That's the entire basis of this country, is property rights.
That king must have been pissed.
Right. Well, he was. But he was crazy. So he was only pissed half the time. And then he was pissing himself the other half.
I will say, Disney is probably the safest place in America.
I was just there.
If you try to go into Disney to do any harm, they're fucking listening to your phone before you even get on their fucking property.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah, man. You're GPS'd from the beginning, man. Everybody.
Okay. I know somebody, I'm not going to say who it is, but I know somebody who works for a company that does work for all these places, including Disney, and they've done government work too. Same company. Mm-hmm. The background check to get on property and do work for Disney is harder to pass than a government background check to go into the congressional building and do work.
I believe it. That's why Jared Kushner can only work for the federal government, but not Walt Disney.
Pretty much.
He couldn't pass the security check for Disney.
Yeah. Disney, I mean, there's more fucking cameras on that property than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it has to be. So that's what I'm saying. So a place like that who wants to guarantee, I mean, literally, when you go to Disney, at some point you have to abandon your vehicle and you have to take their transportation that they provide. And even then, it's like, if you want to go with like Magic Kingdom, you can't just walk into Magic Kingdom. You have to park your car, abandon your vehicle. You have to walk to a checkpoint where you have all your bags checked. They have metal detectors. And then you have to take their transportation, either the monorail or a ferry across a lake to actually get to the Magic Kingdom. So what they're doing is that they're stripping away any possibility, little at a time, that you have any ability to come and do harm there. They have,
and then you go through another security check
to get back on the monorail anywhere in the park. Even if you're already in the park, you still have to go through a security check to get back on.
No, I've been there where they checked me at the ticketing center.
Yeah.
and then you go on the monorail, you get to the main Magic Kingdom area, and they check you again.
Right.
I don't even
Because they
wanna
have
go
people
now.
in the hotels.
Yes.
And they have to share the same monorail system and the same monorail exit. But actually, they're now having security checks in the hotels
Right.
rather than in front of Magic Kingdom.
And so I'm not against any of that stuff. That's just the way it is today. I understand.
That's their property.
Right.
Their
It's their,
right to do
their
that.
property. You have to agree to their terms of service, just like with Twitter and Facebook and everything else. The private companies get to select their terms of service. If you don't agree to them, don't use the product. Don't visit the park. Don't use their website.
Yeah, like I don't want to go.
Right.
It's a whole lot of nonsense, and I don't get enough out of it.
There it is.
I'll say, though,
yeah.
the most threatening thing at Disney is the amount of booze on property and the amount of drunk people.
Oh, I bet it's massive.
I mean, I didn't understand it until I sobered up. But like going there, having Crohn's,
Right.
my God, I have to wipe down every fucking toilet bowl because no one can piss straight because they're so sloshed. And that used to be me because I used to do the Epcot drink around the world thing.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
by the time you get from Norway to Canada, you're so sloshed. You're so hammered that you can't even see straight.
Yeah. I hear you, man.
that is really crazy to me.
What's that?
The alcohol content of Disney World.
Well, they have to do something to keep the parents from losing their fucking
I
minds.
know, that's what's crazy to me is like there's this whole culture of let's not talk about this thing where all the parents are miserable unless they get drunk and none of us can have fun otherwise.
They're actually bringing it to Magic Kingdom now
Wow.
because Magic Kingdom used to be a dry
Safe
park.
zone.
So
And now they're thinking about bringing beer.
I went the other day, and they were having the it's Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party.
Yeah.
So they had like people coming in costumes. I mean, and some of them were like, Disney like cosplay people that looked exactly like the characters.
I just want to say in general, the cosplaying scene in 2018 is out of this world.
Right.
It is
These
fucking
people
nuts.
spend a lot of time and effort into making these outfits, and they look really great. And so when we were leaving, because they closed the park for like regular pass holders, and then like you had to buy like a different ticket to come in for the party, those people were coming in, literally no kids. It was all adults, all coming in costume to do this party at the park. Had nothing to do with children whatsoever.
I noticed
Yeah, I
the
went
trend in
in,
my generation where they just go to Disney to have fun.
Yeah, man.
And then,
I went in December, and okay, so there was like a VIP ticket area
Yeah.
for this Star Wars party in Hollywood Studios,
Okay.
and dude, even the kids were getting smashed in the VIP area. There was an open bar,
Nice.
and but what I was gonna say is, Disney. That's the only time of the year that Disney allows people with costumes.
Really?
Yes,
Yeah.
because under 13, you cannot
Yeah.
wear a costume into the park.
Correct.
That's
they will
it.
turn
Well, you
you
don't want
away.
to mess up with the canon. Like you don't
Well,
wanna
I guess what they
confuse
really
people.
don't want is they really don't want someone dressing up like one of the princes
Aladdin.
or something, and
Oh
then
my
like,
God.
and come back here. I have candy
Terrible.
for you. Come into the men's
Terrible.
room. Right, exactly. So they only want their own people out there.
You know what?
looking
And that's
like
on them.
creepy-
They make that rule. Everyone follows it. Or
Right, you got no choice. Second you walk in, you'll be surrounded by security, and they'll say, "Yeah, come on, step this way. Step into the magic employee catacombs beneath the park." So anyway, that was our scary week. We had the MAGA bomber wound up sending basically bombs to try and assassinate 2 former presidents, a former attorney general, a couple of sitting U.S. senators.
And we should not forget to mention that the entire country knew who this dude was before anybody really knew who he was.
Well-
I think even Republicans were like, "Oh, this is just some crazy Trump supporter."
Right. Oh, no, but it was a
There
false
was
flag.
no question that this was not a Trump supporter that's
Yeah.
out of his mind, that got a little too deep in. Like,
It was literally the day it started.
like even
Hashtag,
Trump was like, "I know what this guy's
yeah,
like."
hashtag MAGA bomber was all over Twitter. I mean, that's just the way it is. So when they found this guy's vehicle down here in Florida, it's always down here in Florida, by the way, in case you're from someplace else, it's always in Florida. This is where we have hanging Chad elections. This is where
This
we
is
have
the
crazy
outlaw
people.
state.
This is where people go into a nightclub and kill gay people. This is where they go into a school and kill kids. You know, this is where the MAGA bomber lives. It's not a shock to us. This is Florida.
Where you take bath salts and eat someone's face off the side of a highway.
Right, man. It's just the way it is. That's why when you watch Live PD, they have like 3 different departments down here that they can cover.
This is where the zombie apocalypse is going to start.
Yeah, hopefully one day we just break off from the U.S. and sink. I think that'll happen at some point anyways.
It'll be a wave.
Come on,
actually.
global warming. Hurry up already.
Atlantis will rise out of the sea with Soros on it. And
Yes.
It'll be a giant tidal wave.
Soros and his Jew trident. Ready to strike down all the faithful Christian believers waiting for Jesus to come back and take them away. Keep waiting, you fucking nutballs.
Oh, I just remembered. That's Alex Jones's line, is that Soros is a Nazi collaborator, but he's Jewish.
Right.
And he points to some bullshit
Yep.
interview.
Oh, yeah, he sold out all these Jewish brethren.
Non crazy.
Right. I mean, not that you want to talk about the guy selling out his Jewish brethren, but, you know, let's talk about all the Christian dudes who are burning Jews in ovens.
Like, of all the people to know, too, like, Alex should know that it's never the guy that is out in the public that you think it's him. If there is an evil villain, you don't know his name.
Right.
You're not just going to bring him up on air.
Right.
But, like, the guy you do bring up is not the dude.
For conspiracy theorists, that's a shitty conspiracy.
Right?
Right. So
This one's
all of
lazy,
this,
Alex.
all of the things that happened this week were all terrifying acts of domestic terrorism that were all based on shitty conspiracy theories.
Oh, yeah, they were. Wow, look at that.
All based on shitty conspiracy theories being perpetrated online
Let's go.
and reinforced by everything that these guys were reading and seeing, listening, watching. Now, I'm a First Amendment guy. Obviously, I'm sitting here. I'm doing a podcast. I've been an artist in my life. I've expressed myself in many different ways, and I'm all about that. But when we have guys in leadership positions in this country, namely the President of the United States, that subscribes to these same crazy fucking conspiracy theories, it legitimizes it. It tells these crazy people, hey, you're not crazy. Look, the President of the United States believes the same crazy shit that you do.
I've been waiting a long time to be able to talk to the average person about conspiracies in a diner, and now it's a reality.
Now it's a reality. Now there's a guy trying to assassinate people with pipe bombs.
I just wanted to do it for fun. I did not understand where it was going to go. I just, some of those movies are just fun to watch because it's cool.
A guy who tried to assassinate people with pipe bombs, a guy who went in and slaughtered Jews at service in a synagogue, and a guy who decided to shoot black people because they're black.
Atrocious.
That's America leading up to our Halloween week. So, I mean, yeah. So speaking of Halloween...
And then 5 days later, there's an election.
5 days later, there's an election. Well, that was his first thing. The first thing to the bomb reaction was Trump saying, first, I was going to sit here and come this week for the Halloween special with the scariest Trump quotes.
Yeah.
But then I started thinking, which Trump quote's not scary?
No, you can't because he's taken the whole thing.
Right. I started running out of ideas. I mean, just on the shit that was the run up to him ever even getting elected was scary fucking garbage. But now that he's in charge of a country.
Well, here, the mooch, he was on Bill's show.
Yeah.
Did you see that?
But I heard stuff. Yeah.
His thing, he held up well for that position that he was put in. Anyway.
Yeah, if only he was this fucking reasonable when he got hired.
Right. The one thing he did say, though, was he was like trying to explain Trump's plan or like his strategy or whatever. And it's this whole rhetoric of literally, it's like a person will say, he's doing the thing where you say something outlandish because your base doesn't give a shit about what you say. So you can dial up the notch on the crazy talk to the maximum degree with no effect whatsoever, confuse the American people, play to your base, and win the election.
Right.
Like, that's a really, really subversive strategy.
Right.
Like, that is red propaganda at its core.
Right.
It's that... He made a good point there, that fucking mooch.
Right, but that's the truth of it. The truth of it, and that's what he learned being, being with Roy Cohn during the 70s until he died, I think the early 80s, who, of course, made his bones during the Red Scare.
Right.
You know, with McCarthy and the McCarthy hearings in the 50s. You know, everybody was a communist or associated with a communist, or they knew a communist, or they once went to school with a communist. You know, it was a whole fucking thing.
Like the nationalism. He says he's a nationalist.
Right.
You know, you wouldn't do that before, but he's like, fuck it.
Right.
People don't want me to say it. That's what I'm going to say because I don't give a shit.
And so that's when he went out this week and he said, you know what? Republicans were doing so well in the early voting and the run up to this election, and then this, quote, bomb thing happened.
Yeah.
As if a guy who is his supporter is sending pipe bombs to people to fuck up the election for the people that he supports. Of course not. But no one's going to take that extra leap and try and figure that one out. They just take him at face value. So, speaking of Halloween and Halloween costumes, we had a discussion on NBC this past week, and they started talking about the different costumes and whatnot. You remember some good costumes you had when you were a kid?
I was Two-Face from Batman. That was a cool costume.
Cool.
Yeah.
I remember one time me and my buddy, man, we went out, we saved up our money, and we bought like these kung fu outfits. They were like black with like the white like toggle buttons and the white
Oh,
like
hell
little
yeah,
cuff.
ninja costume.
Yeah, like with like
yeah.
you know, like Bruce Lee wore, like the black
Yeah.
kung fu thing. And we went out on Halloween. We were like so stoked, man. We had the black slippers with it, the whole bit. And then like the 3-4 chicks that we wanted to hang out with that night, we'd come up on them and be like, hey, you know, and every single one of them like, oh, it's fucking awesome. These guys, look at these guys, man. They fucking came as pilgrims.
Oh, shit. That's terrible.
I'm like, do you see fucking buckles on my shoes? These are goddamn Bruce Lee kung fu outfits. How dare you? How dare you? I saved up for 2 months for this. Anyway, so during this discussion on NBC, Megyn Kelly, who's a fucking super genius, said that truly, you do get in trouble if you're a white person who puts on blackface for Halloween, or a black person who puts on whiteface for Halloween. When I was a kid, that was okay, as long as you were dressing up like a character. Now, she's not on Fox News anymore. On Fox News, that would have went without comment. She's on NBC.
Yeah.
Okay? On a morning program.
Oh, she got... Yeah, okay.
She signed a $69 million contract. $23 million a year. 3-year contract with NBC. Yeah, that contract's done. After this comment. They had enough. She already had a bunch of shit that she said.
Oh, really? This isn't just...
Yeah. So, this was... And look, Megyn Kelly is about the same age as me. She's about a year older than me.
I wonder what her take is.
I can tell you without a doubt, there has never been a time in my lifetime or hers where wearing blackface was okay.
Right.
There was no Halloween when we were children. Again, she's the same age as me.
You know, the
Where
weird thing
blackface
is, though,
was okay.
Yeah, the weird thing is, though, that it did work for Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder.
And let's be honest,
Just
that
about
was
to bring that up.
right. But
I have to, because it's a brilliant performance.
right, it was a brilliant performance. He's a lovable actor. He wasn't doing it offensively. I remember when it happened, he was like he checked with fucking everybody, like every black
when you
person
work
he's
as
ever
hard
met.
as Robert Downey Jr.,
Exactly.
you're earning something.
Yeah, he's got an inspirational story, but like what Robert Downey Jr. did was not blackface. He like
No, it
literally
wasn't.
transformed
Yeah.
into
A
a,
black
different
man.
race.
Totally
Yeah.
different deal.
Right. It's like when they had like Ben Kingsley play Gandhi.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He just transformed himself into a different race. So, you know, in her tenure at Fox News, Megyn Kelly often related to race, including a 2014 segment that saw her question claims of racism over the much publicized deaths of 2 unarmed young black men. One point saying, what is the evidence that that what happened to Eric Gardner and what happened to Michael Brown has anything to do with race? I don't know. Maybe because
All of it, all
right,
of the evidence,
right,
the
like
entire
every piece of evidence.
situation, the neighborhood, the cops themselves,
The
how
fact
the
that they got
cops
shot
act,
and they had no weapon.
how all the people in the neighborhood act, literally the whole 100% of the situation.
Like this
tells
guy,
you.
just for instance, this guy who shot up the synagogue yesterday, he went in, he said all Jews must die. He killed 11 people at a children's naming ceremony, and a baby was there. A fucking baby was there. While this guy is slaughtering people, there's a baby in the room. He went outside. He wound up kept on shooting against police.
I hope that baby grows up to be a superhero that just like kills people.
He went outside and he started shooting at police, wounded police officers. And then he gave up. Now, if this were a black man, the second he laid down that gun, he would have been dead. They would have opened fire and killed this motherfucker, and that would have been the end of it. But he was a white guy. So he said, all right, I'm done shooting you guys. He put his gun down and they arrested him peacefully and took him in. Right. So when fucking morons like this, she also gained notoriety for insisting that Santa Claus was white.
Oh.
I don't know. What color is the Tooth Fairy? It's a fucking children's story.
Right.
It's make-believe.
Yeah, it depends.
Why would you risk your reputation
what country?
on insisting that Santa Claus is white? What are you, fucking retarded? Yeah. Are you serious? And so they asked Fox News, USA Today contacted Fox News and asked would they be keen to have Kelly return. A spokesperson replied, quote, we're extremely happy with our lineup. In other words, thanks, but no thanks. We got rid of her. You guys can take it from here. So not only is she done on Fox, but NBC don't want her either. So she can take her 1 year she's done on a 3-year contract. Yeah, you can take the money and just get the fuck out of here. Dumb fucking broad that you are. Useless.
She's probably going to go work for InfoWars now.
Absolutely. Why not? Why not?
Now her and Alex got a beef.
Well, you know, sometimes she bleeds from her ears. She bleeds from her wherever. Right? Isn't that what Trump
Well,
said?
you know, I feel like those beefs that these news anchors have are like WWE beefs.
Right.
They're
Let me
just
tell you
for hype.
something, brother. The next time I see you. Yeah, I get you, man. It's fucking nonsense. So, here's something scary. Thank you. Timing is everything. Here's something scary. In the Texas election going on right now, where one of the big races is my favorite, which is Congressman Beto O'Rourke running against Ted Cruz for a U.S. Senate seat. Ted Cruz, the incumbent, who is absolutely the most hated man in politics, including Republicans. Republicans hate him too. Donald Trump referred to him, of course, as Lion Ted, said his dad had something to do with the assassination of JFK, said his wife was an ugly bitch. And then he went and he fucking hugged this guy this week. Some of the best, one of the best memes I saw was him getting a handshake and a hand on the shoulder from Donald Trump, and people putting that Trump grabbed a pussy today in Texas.
Politics is definitely like WWE.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you know what? It used to be. It used to be. Like, you know, I've read and reread, you know, again, poli-sci is my thing. I've read and reread, you know, Man of the House, which is Speaker Tip O'Neill's autobiography. And it really, it goes with him being a state representative in Massachusetts all the way through helping JFK and Bobby Kennedy run for office in, you know, Massachusetts. Boston politics back in like the 50s. You know, it was pretty rough and tumble. I mean, that was a lot of shenanigans going on, and even some, you know, fists and hiring, you know, tough guys on the street at the polling places and all this kind of shit. But in the end, when he went to Washington starting in the 60s and then all the way into the 80s before Tip O'Neill finally retired as Speaker of the House, these guys would share apartments. Like Republicans and Democratic congressmen, because it was so expensive in D.C., they would rent an apartment with a couple bedrooms together. And you'd have like 2 Democrats and a Republican, 2 Republicans and a Democrat, and they would all just kind of like be like roommates, like a frat house. And even though on the floor of the house, they would sit there and they'd skewer each other because, you know, they're mostly lawyers, and that's what lawyers do. You sit there, you argue the case, and then afterwards you go out for dinner. They don't do that anymore. That's the way it used to be. And I wish we could return to that. I don't know if we ever can. Maybe it's going to take some kind of real backbreaking thing. If Trump ain't it, then fuck, man. I don't know what is.
Well, I'm just talking about like how Trump trashed Ted Cruz. And then now they're like,
Well,
What's going on, buddy?
Yeah, I agree with you to a point, but the reality is that the stuff that Trump does and says to people is more damaging than what some of these WWE beefs, do to people. Like this guy really, I don't know. Maybe I'm just seeing it in a different light. But to me, the way that he goes after people is literally like he's just trying to fucking bury you.
Yeah, no, it's much more permanent.
He don't want you to ever come up for air. He wants you to be absolutely destroyed.
I mean, that time that Stone Cold Steve Austin beat the shit out of Vince McMahon in the hospital was pretty fucking damaging to me.
Or that time when Donald Trump body slammed Jim McMahon.
Yes.
Because we know how real that must have been.
Oh, yeah.
He could barely, he can hold up about 2 Big Macs, one in each hand for about 10
so
minutes.
How much do you think he paid to have that opportunity?
I don't know, man.
Because that's pretty good publicity for him. He must
So-
have paid a few mil.
In this Texas election right now, people are voting in Texas. There's an option on their electronic voting machines that allows you to vote for straight party ticket. So you can actually opt straight Democratic Party and click it, and it just toggles all the Democrats on the ticket. Well, it turns out it doesn't. Turns out that if you vote straight Democratic Party, the Senate race where Beto O'Rourke is running against Ted Cruz shows for Ted Cruz.
Nice.
So you're voting straight Democrat, but your Senate choice is a Republican. The most hated Republican in all of politics.
I think, though, options like that, even though, yeah, like, sure, some people might vote straight Democrat, kind of takes the point out of voting.
And I agree. And so does the governor of Texas, Governor Abbott, because starting in 2020, that option will no longer be available for straight party
Right on
voting.
time.
Yep. Right on time is exactly right. Exactly right. So that's been happening, and that's fucking scary. All right, let's do our tweets of the week, my friend. I got a little Halloween theme running through here, hopefully. Here's a good outfit. That's a great costume. This is at V1ster. Let's see. When you let your 10-year-old choose his Halloween costume and he decides to dress up as that real Donald Trump. Handcuffs and everything in the orange jumpsuit. I love, this is not quite realistic because the face isn't quite as orange as the jumpsuit. And you would expect the face to be a little bit more orange. But good costume, good originality.
They say that Michael from Halloween, that the mask is actually supposed to be, what's his name?
Nixon?
James T. Kirk.
Oh.
What's that guy's name?
Can't
Shatner.
be
Yeah, Shatner.
Bill
But, like,
Shatner.
this Donald Trump mask looks very Michael.
Yeah, it looks
Almost.
very used car salesman. Here we go. At Trump got to go. Don't be distracted. Laser focus on get out the vote. Phone bank, canvas, donate, take an elderly neighbor, and vote. And folks, I know wherever you are right now, it's early voting and or mail-in voting. Do it. Don't forget. If you do forget, you can still go on November 6th. But please, if you have the opportunity to early vote, it's a lot fucking easier. Just go and do it. Vote correctly. This is the best. She's a Hispanic girl. She dressed up
That's
as
a good
herself in a fucking box.
These costumes that like distort your review of the legs are real popular this season.
Absolutely, and that's just a fucking brilliant one. So that's let's at Carson XXX. She just won Halloween for the next 10 years. You damn straight, man. That's a great costume. Love it, because only our president. Only in America can we laugh at a president who cages children in internment camps. But Jim Carrey, at Jim Carrey. Today they tried to murder 2 presidents, as well as public servants and journalists. Make no mistake. These terrorists were encouraged and emboldened by the hate speech of Donald Trump. If you can't see the clear menace of this man's influence by now, then you're a part of it. There you go. There's a little pipe bomb, little cheesy clock on it. Well, Beavis and Butthead dressing up for Halloween as Donald Trump and Mike Pence. And I like that Mike Pence totally looks completely straight in that picture, as well as all the other pictures we see the vice president. No homosexual undertones whatsoever. At Janet Yackel brings us our former genius never was, will be. And then we got the big I love they left the raccoon eyes around his orange face. Oh, here we go. This is Grinella at Grinella Lou. Here you go. Feel free to steal. Trump grabs another pussy. He bows his head
Fucking-
to the guy who told you your wife was ugly and your dad killed JFK.
Dude.
Please come and help me win my election because winning my election is all that matters. Have some fucking respect, dude. Lose, go out gracefully, and go write a fucking book. Cunt. What else we got? Oh, look at this guy. He's not really dressing up for Halloween. This is his everyday wear. At GDAD1, a study finds most U.S. citizens are exhausted with polarization and want solution, while just 6% are far-right zealots. So just to make sure that we understand that, just
Way too
8% of
many.
respondents make up the
Fucking
far
way too
left.
many.
8% of respondents make up the far left, 6% make up the far right, 2/3 of America, meanwhile, are in the middle and exhausted. And that's what we talk about here on the middle, is everybody else that are not the 6 and 8% of the right and left-wing crazy people. It's the rest of us that these knuckleheads don't represent. This is my favorite, at El Glico. This van looks like what Steve Bannon would turn into if he was a transformer.
Exactly what it would look like.
When I saw that van, I was like, oh, this has to be the guy. I mean, like the second the ATF dudes and FBI guys rolled up, they must have been like, guilty. Fucking guilty. We totally got this. This is the right place. This is the guy. Look at this fucking van. And there was something on there about like youth soccer or something. So here at Cavalorn, as at San Marcos MP4, I never thought leopards would eat my face, sobs woman who voted for the leopards eating people's faces party. I mean, this is a message for all Republicans out there.
How do you pronounce their acronym?
FP.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
Something
can
like
work on
that.
that. But the leopards eating people's faces party is a great. I think I'm going to run under that the next time I run for office. It will be the leopards eating people's faces party, and my slogan will be, "I told you so." I warned you.
I mean, I'd vote for you just because the kitty cat on your party logo.
Say, meow.
Kitties.
All right, man. Those are our tweets of the week. So just to piggyback on all the scariness that we've been going through this week, all this horror show that is Donald Trump and his fucking crazy minions out there that have now turned into real threats, bombs and guns. Okay. Betsy DeVos, who is our current Secretary of Education, and what a smart lady she is. Just so smart. You know, we give lots of federal money to schools across the country, as the federal government does. They take enough tax money in, they should give some back. And so when they give this money to schools, they usually are pretty clear, like, what it can be spent on, for the most part. But DeVos, when asked if schools could use the money to purchase firearms or to train school staff in firearms use, she said, yeah, I have no intention of taking any action concerning the purchase of firearms or firearms trainings for school staff. I will not legislate via fiat from the department. So in other words, your tax dollars, as being distributed by your Secretary of Education, could go to your school systems. And if your school district decides, rather than books, rather than school supplies that teachers have to come out of their own pocket for, rather than giving teachers better pay to attract better people to be teachers, they might decide to spend it on guns. I mean, let's be honest. There are plenty of guns in schools already. I mean, people come into schools with guns all the time. And sometimes they wind up opening fire. So, of course, the best answer would be to put more guns in schools. And better yet, to have you and I pay for it. Because what better way to spend tax money than to make schools even more gun-friendly? So that everybody can just open fire and start shooting back at each other. Because what's the worst that can happen? Right? Yeah.
I'm full of questions today. When the fuck has the school system ever had a surplus of money?
Right.
Ever.
To spend on something other than books.
They never have enough money.
Right. Teachers have to buy crayons and shit out of their own pocket. But this,
crayons are expensive too.
But this twat, our Secretary of Education, she don't want to legislate by fiat from the department. She don't want to tell school districts they can't buy handguns and start giving them out to teachers. Because when have we ever heard about teachers being irresponsible? That never happens. You know.
Yeah.
What could happen if a guy has a firearm on him while teaching kids? You know, what if he keeps it in his drawer?
My middle school science teacher, he used to have a golf club that he kept on him.
Okay.
That scared the shit out of us.
Golf club, yardstick, whatever it is, man. Those, that's all old school stuff. That's Stone Age. I'm not worried about Stone Age shit. We start turning the rocks, sticks and stones, start turning into extended magazine fucking AR-15s. That's when trouble starts. But this is just, in this age where people have just started, taking these conspiracy theories and political violence to the next level, somebody like this moron in charge of our education system says, if schools want to buy guns with the money we're giving them, great. Right, because that's the America we live in. Scary stuff. All right, that is all we have for the middle this week. We appreciate you joining us. You can catch replays on HowardBroadcasting.com and on the Hey Ronnie Wright YouTube channel. You can always catch Justin's show, Mission Accomplished, as well on HowardBroadcasting.com. For me, for Justin, for Ryan, and all of us here at Howard Broadcasting, have a happy Halloween. We'll see y'all next week. See ya.